Yesterday was a special day. We finally got that release we've all been waiting for. Stick around, we're going to talk about it and something special I got in store for you guys next. Welcome back and thank you for joining me. And that's right, yesterday was the day we all been waiting for so long. And that is finally they released the Cal Kestis Legacy Lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge. I know everybody's been waiting on it. It was supposed to be done back in the fall, but of course, COVID, supply chain problems, this, that, and the other, who knows, whatever else, caused it to be delayed. But it's finally here. So, who is Cal Kestis, you might ask? Well, let's talk about it for just a minute. Let's talk about the character Cal Kestis. Now, the first time we see Cal Kestis is during the game Jedi: The Fallen Order, which, of course, we're going to get a sequel of here very, very soon. During that game, we find out all the history behind Cal Kestis. The fact that he was a Force-sensitive human male who became a Jedi Knight during the reign of the Galactic Empire. As one of the few Jedi that actually survived the Purge, you know, the Order 66 order that was given by Emperor Palpatine that pretty much destroyed all the Jedi of the Jedi Order. You know, he was one of the only ones that survived. He lived in seclusion for years until he had a confrontation with Inquisitors, which basically compelled him to openly resist the entire Empire's rule. He was hunted across galaxy by different Empire Jedi hunters, Inquisitors, different, fourth sister, fifth sister, sixth sister, however many different sisters came after him. But he started out as a Padawan. He was a Padawan for Jedi Master Jura Tapal. I think that's how you say his name, Tapal, maybe. He served alongside of his mentor during the Clone Wars until, of course, the Grand Army of the Republic betrayed all of them, like I said, during Order 66. As a result of that, the entire Clone Troopers 13th Battalion attempted to basically execute Cal Kestis as a traitor. However, his master sacrificed himself in order to make sure everything he could do to make sure that Cal Kestis himself survived. He lives in exile on the planet Bracca. He worked as a rigger for the Scrappers Guild until he was discovered by the Second and the Ninth Sisters, which were both Inquisitors of the Empire. So, jumping through things as he goes through it, because if you haven't played the game and you're into games, I don't want to spoil everything for you, but what we do find is he joins up with a crew on a starship basically called Stinger's Mantis, captained by a former Jedi named, I believe it's pronounced, because I haven't played the game in quite a while, Siri Junda. Now, Siri is a former Jedi herself, which you'll find out if you play the game through there. And the part of the saber that he actually makes during all of this is attached to the saber she actually gives him when he goes to Ilum to look for kyber crystals. And I'm going to put a picture of that right over here for you guys to be able to see what that saber looked like. So it didn't quite look like the one that we see that has been released yesterday. So, moving on from that, let me get you to a full screen because we're going to take a look at that saber now. So, the saber itself can be joined together. Here is the saber in the case. Now, this is one of the larger cases. Reason being is because this is a large lightsaber. It actually, if you look at it, it's very close to the length of the Shadow Collective lightsaber, and weight-wise, it's much heavier. So this is how it comes. It's got the nice Jedi logo on the front, the very large side, and you can see all I've done is just cut it open. If you caught some of my live stream, this is one of the cases that I opened up to show how they attach together. If you did not catch a live stream, I'm going to go over that now. So when you open it up, this is how the saber comes. It comes just like this. Now you'll notice on the end it has some threads. That is because this one is set up originally to be ready to attach to be able to make the staff version that you can make in the game as well. Mainly because this thing being as long as it is, there wasn't enough room in the case to be able to put it together as a single saber display style. We'll look at that in a second. So this is how it comes. So we'll go ahead and take this saber out, and I'm going to sit it down. Inside, underneath the holding tray in the case, is the extra piece here. And the extra piece is actually the rest of the saber that you see in the game when it's damaged. There's a point in there where the saber gets damaged because he had it as a staff style. It gets damaged to where it's just a single piece. This piece will thread onto that lightsaber. As I said, the saber comes in this design. Now, this is very similar, I will say similar to the one in the game. It is slightly larger as far as the girth of it, how big around it is, compared to the one in the game, and I'll show you guys in a picture right up here what I mean. When you compare it to how it looks, and I've got my other one over here as the full saber. Like I said, this thing is massive. It is very large, but this is how it actually comes, or has it in the game. And when you see him in the game holding it, this section here is much smaller. It's not near as big. But I think Disney did a good job on how they actually replicated the design. Because, I mean, you got to think there's a lot of electronics that has to go inside this thing to be able to make it work the way it needed to be able to work. So I'm going to sit that one there because we're going to use that one in just a minute. But going back to the one we just took out of the case, this is the end here that is the coupler. It's the piece to be able to put the two of them together. It threads off, and it's a little snug because unlike some of the other pieces, I mean, this thing is solid metal on the inside. It's aluminum. If you want to kind of know how it would feel, is very similar to electrical conduit material. The aluminum they use for electrical conduit when they're building homes and businesses. That's the type of material that the internal metal that they use for this is made from. So it's a little different than, you know, the coupler for, let's say, your Darth Maul, or to make the Maul Shadow Collective hilt, or to put together your Ventress saber. So it's a little bit different, but there's some nice speaker holes. You can kind of see my ugly mug through the middle there, so that you get the audio, and this thing is loud. I will tell you, it's definitely got some volume to it. But inside you have your battery case. I have not taken the batteries or anything out of this yet, of course, but this case looks like it's a little bit more, I guess, sturdy, or it doesn't have quite the same design as a lot of other ones, because it's, the other ones have the sleeve that goes over it. This one here, and I know everybody always asks, how do you take the batteries out? So we're going to look at how you do the batteries on this particular case. So you've got the screw that's, let me get it focused here. You get the screw right there. We're going to take that screw out and see how exactly this thing, you take the batteries out of this, because I have not done it yet. So let's see. This one is definitely different than any of the other ones, because this is actually, it's a plastic band that goes around it. If you guys can see here, it's got a plastic band that goes around. It looks like it's attached to the whole thing, so it's not that sleeve that slid off before. And it does take 3 AAA batteries. So, the band itself, just kind of show you here, you get it in place. Trying to get it to focus on it for you. Not on my hands, but on the chassis, which of course my camera's not going to want to do that for me properly. But that's how I guess maybe that they're going to this design for the battery chassis, putting the band around it. Maybe they've had some issues with the batteries falling out or whatever, because I know there are some that don't have the slip over chassis or the slip over piece on the chassis, and some of them do, but it looks like they've kind of tried to redesign the battery chassis a little bit. Anyway, so of course that goes inside. It's got the same little notch on there, so let me find that. And go ahead and thread these on. Now, I know when I was doing the live stream, you have to be very careful, because with the way this is done, it feels like you can cross thread this thing very, very easily. So just make sure when you're doing it, what I like to do is put it on like I'm going to take it off, spinning it backwards, and then let the threads drop into place, and then turn it. It's still snug getting it in there. It's not going to cross thread that way, but the threads are definitely very robust, and I think it's just mainly because this thing is so big. So let me go ahead on the second piece, and we'll take the top off, or the base I should say, and go ahead and thread the other one on, so that, there we go. And if you can see how that dropped in place, and that threads on so much easier. And then you have the full staff. I mean, it's pretty dang big. To give you an idea, comparing to like the Shadow Collective, it's not as long as the Shadow Collective. It's very close. But I can tell you, weight-wise, this thing weighs a lot more than your Shadow Collective, and I think it's because I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this is made of much more sturdier material. Your Darth Maul and basically feels like just aluminum. Honestly, it feels like cheap aluminum. This thing is solid. I mean, the metal on these sleeves on the ends here, this is solid, people. This thing is not cheaply made like some of the other ones that I've seen out there. Some of the other older ones that they've made, they took their time on this one, guys. They took their time and made sure that, I know that's part of the reason why it's taken so long to get it. I know they really wanted to make sure that this thing, was done right and done well, so that, let's face it, fans like ourselves weren't disappointed in how this thing turned out. So let me go ahead and take it back apart. and put the broken end back on, so that way we can put a blade in it and see what we get. Now, I will say, speaking about the broken end piece here, this I think they could have done a little bit better on, because this is all soft plastic on some of these little pieces like this. So I'm afraid that they may at some point break. This is soft plastic, they did a good job of making it look melted, making it look like the damage. You can see the damage lines here, making it look damaged like it was in the game. So I think they did a good job on the detail that they did here, but it does feel a little cheap as far as materials go. Now this feels pretty solid, but the pieces like this, like what look like wires and stuff, they're pretty soft. So I don't know if this is like maybe a resin material that they used for, this area here, and then these are just like plastic that they kind of put on there, or what exactly. But I mean, all in all, it still looks pretty good. It is hollow all the way through, so you do get your sound out of the hole on the end here whenever you have this piece on, versus, like I said, the openings here on this piece, which you get openings on both sides. Anyway, without further ado, let's put let's go ahead and put a blade in this. So we'll start out with just your basic Galaxy's Edge blade. Now we'll talk about a few things with this thing before I light it up. This is your switch right here. Now I think they did a nice job on trying to make it look pretty symmetrical as far as the switch, and having one look the same way on the other side. Oh man, there are stickers all over this thing, and they're definitely gonna have to pull those off. I think they did a good job with the knob right here that's supposed to kind of like control, I think, the length of the blade or something like that. They did a good job with the detail inside here. I'm really not digging this huge freaking CoverTech wheel though. This thing is massive. I mean, honestly, I think that takes away from the look of the saber a lot, in my opinion. I really don't like how that's on there, but of course they've got to make it where you can carry it. But I think it takes away from it, in my opinion. So let me kill some lights here a little bit, so that it's not quite as bright, so you guys can see the color of the blades. And your stock color is blue. You can hear the sound. I mean, it's loud. It's pretty sensitive. I mean, it's still not smooth swing, but it's pretty dang sensitive, I do have to say. Yellow on Clash Strike. So all in all, I mean, it's not bad as far as that, but of course that's with a stock Savi style blade or Galaxy's Edge blade. I, again, still prefer the better Jaymoo blade. You get a much better glow on it, the pulsation. The other nice thing about Jaymoo blade is you do get, man, it's like, impossible to make this thing quieter is one of the things, and let me turn it off. One of the things I think Disney fell short on with this thing, honestly, unlike in the game where you can change your lightsaber blade color based on the kyber crystal, Disney did not do that with this. They fell short on that, in my personal opinion. I think they should have made it to where you could go in and change the color of the blade. They obviously can do it because they did it with Ahsoka Tano, so they could have done it with this one. I just don't think they had the ability or the funding, without charging an astronomical amount of money for this thing, more than what they're doing already, to make it where you could change the colors like you can if you add a JMU blade in. The reason I say that is because you have your blue, and then you can go your white. You can take it to red if you decide. Oops. There we go. You can even get that orange that you can get in the game. You can get your pulsating yellow. You can take it green. You can go teal. This is back to the stock blue. You can go purple. Unfortunately, there's not a flame blade. There's not an ice blade in the game, but you can do that with these. Rainbow blade. That's the Kylo Ren. So that's one of the beauties of a Jaymoo blade, especially when you put a Jaymoo blade in a Cal Kestis lightsaber. I feel that Disney did very well with this saber. The polished aluminum, the way they did the grip, the way they did the attachment to make it look like the broken version in the game. Just seeing this thing makes me want to go play the game again. Making it where you can attach it to make it into the staff that they have in the game. I think they did well. I wish they would have made it where you could do the color changing. But unfortunately, they did not do that with this particular saber. But I mean, overall, I think Disney, did good on it. I think they did well. They delivered what we were hoping for, in my opinion. Your opinion may differ. You may not like it as much. You may want to go with more of one of your custom sabers out there, Saber Forge or one of the others that make custom sabers that people feel are more screen accurate. But I think that they did a really good job on making this to look as much and as close as they could to the way that the game has it in the game. The thing for me is it's licensed, it's authentic as far as what Disney, how they wanted it to be. So that was the biggest reason why I've wanted this. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think? How do you feel about this saber? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think Disney could have done a better job? Do you think it's the way that you expected it to be? I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are down below. Now, the special thing that I'm going to tell you guys that I mentioned in the post is when we get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, this will be one of y'all's. So one of you guys out there will be gifted from me one of the Cal Kestis lightsabers. If you are the winner of that, when I draw the winner once we hit 1,000 subs, and you don't want this saber, you'll be able to get the one of your choice. So how am I going to do this? How am I going to get this saber in your hands? Well, the way you're going to enter is I'm going to put a post up on my Kyber Curator Facebook page. I will share that post to other groups. On that post, it's going to tell you guys exactly what you need to do to be able to enter into the contest. Now, the winner will not be done until we have reached 1,000 subs on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't subbed on my YouTube channel, please go in there, sub, get yourself entered to win this lightsaber. So I want to say thank you to you guys. This is my way of saying thank you for taking the time to look at my videos, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying the videos, and say thank you for all the views. And at 500, I'm going to give away a black kyber crystal, maybe 2, maybe 3, at 500. But this saber will be our 1,000 subscriber gift. So thank you again, guys, for joining me tonight. I do appreciate it. And as always, may the Force be with you.